The Sacramento Kings have one of the more unclear futures in the next immediate future in the league, in my opinion. I think their future long-term is fairly clear in the fact that De'Aaron Fox and Tyrese Haliburton are going to be the two cornerstone pieces of this franchise moving forward. De'Aaron Fox looks to be an all-star, and Tyrese Haliburton had an absolutely brilliant-looking season, very poised, good defensively, good shot creator, shot maker. He can just do the little things. He makes winning plays. He's very clutch. He's very poised, and he just makes the right plays to win. But here's why I say that their future is uncertain. Buddy Hield, rumored in trade talks for quite a while now, could be traded. Harrison Barnes, rumored in trade talks for quite a while, could be traded. DeLon Wright, as an expiring contract as a veteran on a rebuilding team, could be traded at the deadline. Marvin Bagley, still not happy with Sacramento, only has a year left before he's going to need an extension. Still hasn't played that great. Very well could be traded. Rashawn Holmes, their starting center, free agent. Maurice Harkless, free agent. Terrence Davis, who they acquired at the deadline, free agent. Backup center, Hassan Whiteside, free agent. They could potentially be losing 7 to 8 players off this team in the next 6 to 12 months, if not sooner. And that's where the uncertainty for the Sacramento team comes in. De'Aaron Fox and Tyrese Haliburton are the locks, but they are about the only locks. Pretty much everyone else that's in the rotation on this team could be gone in the next year. And so that's what we're going to be talking about today's video. We're going to be talking about some of the trades they could make, what they're going to be doing this offseason as far as the draft, where their picks are situated, some of the trades they could make, and how I feel the duo of De'Aaron Fox and Tyrese Haliburton could help Sacramento moving forward and maybe finally get them out of being such a poor team. With that being said, if you guys want more NBA content like this, then feel free to subscribe and like the video. If you do enjoy, to let me know that you enjoy this type of content. And I will be doing off-season preview videos like this on every other team. I have done a handful already. Feel free to check the rest of my NBA What's Next videos to check those out. Or be sure to let me know down in the comment section which one you want to see next, if that is something you want more of. And so with that being said, let's get right into it. Starting off, the Sacramento Kings start with the 9th and the 39th overall picks in this year's NBA draft. And so they're going to be able to add, if they scout well and pick well, another good talent alongside De'Aaron Fox and Tyrese Haliburton at the number 9 spot. And that's going to be very valuable for them moving forward. Especially considering the fact that they don't have much cap room as currently constructed. They don't have a ton of future assets outside of what's currently on the roster. It's shown by the fact they only have 2 picks this year, but they're a rebuilding team. And so they have a lot of decisions to make. And so if we can talk about the draft, you can talk about who they're going to pick at number 9. You can argue that. Not going to discuss that here. What I'm going to talk about is what the heck is this roster going to look like next season? I suspect Buddy Hield's going to be traded. He's making $22, $20, and $18.5 million for the next 3 years. And quite frankly, the Sacramento Kings need to save some money. Because currently, going into next year, they are projected to be spending $103 million in payroll. That is with not having a starting center and losing their backup center, a backup wing, and their backup guard. And so they're going to be over the cap potentially next year, while being a rebuilding team. That's a problem. That is a problem. Now, Marvin Bagley's salary is most likely going to be moved, because even if he isn't traded, I find it very hard to believe that Sacramento are going to re-sign him as a restricted free agent, which means he probably is going to be traded before the trade deadline in this upcoming season. DeLon Wright, I also would suspect to be traded before the deadline, as he is an expiring contract as a veteran point guard who could do well on a decent contending team as backup point guard. Doesn't really serve much of a role to Sacramento. Harrison Barnes and Buddy Hield, the 2 guys making over $20 million a year next year, are also very possibly going to be traded. They were rumored at the deadline last year. Both of them never got dealt, as Sacramento reportedly didn't want to tank and they wanted to stay competitive, which didn't go great for them. They were still in the hunt-ish for the play-in games, but they never were close enough. And realistically, I think for me at least, Buddy Hield making $22 million is just a lot of money for him. There's no doubt he's a good scorer and an elite 3-point shooter, but it's a lot of money for someone of his caliber. Harrison Barnes as well, he's a very good player, and I think he can justify his $20 million a bit more. He brings you more on the defensive end. He can do a little bit of everything. He's not great at anything, but he's just a jack-of-all-trades type of guy. But they need to start thinking towards their next era, their future. And Buddy Hield are already 28, and Harrison Barnes is 29. By the time those guys' contracts expire, are they going to re-sign them in their 30s? Is that they want to bring them back as part of their core group? Because the Sacramento Kings are not competing on their current contracts for the next 2 or 3 years. They're just not. Tyrese Haliburton needs a couple more years to develop, and they need to add more talent than just Tyrese Haliburton and De'Aaron Fox. They're going to be probably losing Rashawn Holmes, and so that's definitely going to be hurt them if they can't retain him. And so even if they keep Buddy Hield, even if they keep Harrison Barnes, and they have Rashawn, and they keep Rashawn Holmes even, they have De'Aaron Fox, they have Tyrese Haliburton, they draft well the next couple of years, they add a couple of more players. Unless they get a star, I don't see it. Like, Buddy Hield's great, Harrison Barnes is great, but they have no money to really do anything with it. Like, if Tyrese Haliburton needed to be extended tomorrow, they don't have the money. I mean, they do, but they're going to have to go over the salary cap, and I don't think Sacramento are going to really be that team that goes into it, given the financial scenarios that go around a franchise of their nature. And so Sacramento are going to have to make some tough decisions this year, in my opinion, and figure out what they want on this team moving forward. And that's been a problem for them in the past years, is that they haven't signed great contracts. For example, the Corey Joseph contract. I forget who it was they signed at center the other year on a 3-year deal. It was a veteran center. It's like, Sacramento need to understand that they are a rebuilding team. They need to embrace the rebuild, and they need to start building around the timeline of De'Aaron Fox and Tyrese Haliburton, which is the ages of 23 and 21. Not the ages of late 20s and early 30s, which they have a lot of on this roster right now. They need to start thinking towards that era, that timeline. De'Aaron Fox, Tyrese Haliburton, as they enter their primes in 2, 3, 4 years. How can we build the team around them for them? Do we want Buddy Hield? Do we want Harrison Barnes? Do we want Marvin Bagley? Do we want to bring back Rashawn Holmes for them? Do we want to try and give Terrence Davis an extension? Those are the questions that Sacramento need to ask themselves this offseason. Personally, if I'm Sacramento, now obviously I'm not getting rid of them for nothing, but I'm trading Harrison Barnes for future assets. I'm trading Buddy Hield for future assets. I want to acquire more future assets, whether that is young players or picks that I can add to this team that better fit the timeline, that can support Haliburton and Fox, that can be complementary pieces around them for when they're good and not for now when nothing's going to matter. That is my thoughts on Sacramento. I'm very curious to see what you guys think. I think there's a lot of differing opinions on what you could do with this team. You could say run it back, they'll improve, try and bring back Rashawn Holmes, De'Aaron Fox, Tyrese Haliburton will continue to develop. They can get someone good at the number 9 overall pick this year, and maybe they can squeak into the playoffs. But the question I pose to that then is, do Sacramento have enough to be more than just an 8 seed on this team? Even if De'Aaron Fox does become an 8-time All-Star caliber player, and Haliburton becomes an All-Star as well, even if the number 9 overall pick guy they draft this year is an All-Star for a 2 or 3-time All-Star. Did this team have more than being a 6 to 8 seed? And if the answer is no, then are you happy with that as a Sacramento fan if you are one? Or if you were a Sacramento fan, are you just happy being that for De'Aaron Fox's prime? That's a question you have to answer. Personally, I'd have to say no. Trading away Buddy Hield and Harrison Barnes, sure, maybe you miss on some draft picks and it busts, but at least you gave yourself a chance. At least you tried to add talent that fits the timeline. At least you give yourself a chance to acquire that star. Maybe you add the assets to acquire enough first to be able to trade for a star. That's not typical for a team like Sacramento, but I think you have to give yourself that chance to be more than just a 6 to an 8 seed. Now, maybe for Sacramento, because they have struggled for so long, that they're going to be quite happy with that. Vlade Divac seems to have said before that he is going to be quite happy with that. And for that reason, I wouldn't fully expect a Buddy Hield, a Harrison Barnes, a DeLon Wright trade through the next year. I think they should, but I don't think they will. But let me know what you guys would do in this scenario for the Sacramento Kings. They're definitely in a bit of a scenario where they need to decide what they want to do moving forward. And I think what they do in the next 6 to 12 months could definitely really impact the future success of this Sacramento team and the De'Aaron Fox era for the Sacramento Kings. That being said, I hope you guys did enjoy the video. Feel free to leave a like down below if you did enjoy, and subscribe to the channel for more NBA content like this. Hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you guys in the next one.